Hey guys, Palsteron here, and today let's talk about some of the most efficient ways to get your 6 link on Leaguestart. Now, going from a 4 to a 5 to a 6 link is one of the most important steps in your character progression at Leaguestart. Have Exile is extremely stingy with more multipliers on damage, and you only have so much currency to work with. And the question is always, well, should I invest into a 6 link or should I invest into other stuff? There's always a payoff and an opportunity cost. And to start out, let's set a baseline here. Orb of Fusings on Leaguestart are very inefficient, they're random, they can throw you off your game. Do not use Orb of Fusings unless you specifically have to because you're on something like SSF or you need exactly a body armor and you know exactly what to do. There are so many easy ways to get 6 links that we're going to go over in this video that you should stay the hell away from this. So going into the league, you should know what your 6 link colors are first and foremost. So for example, on my explosive arrow build, I have 2 greens, 3 reds, and 1 blue, and I have a evasion kind of, let's go to early game. I have a evasion armor hybrid, which means I'm going to get a lot of red and green sockets. And if you don't think about that, what can happen is, for example, you go poison bow, you really want a covenant, it like doubles your damage with the level 29 added chaos damage, and you need 4 greens and 1 red, but it's a energy shield body armor. It needs 134 int, total sockets 6, and your desired colors are 1 red, 3 green, 2 blue. Calculate, and you realize, oh, that's 400 chromes. Now, while that is definitely possible, that could be like a divine or so on Leaguestart. Now, on that topic, we should stay right here with unique items. And this is one of the biggest things I see people do when they link me POBs. They link me 6 links on a unique. The problem here is that a lot of the strats we're going to talk about are going to be cheesy, right? They're going to be mostly just rares that you find from certain content and they happen to be 6 link. That doesn't really happen, or extremely rarely happens with uniques. And it doesn't even matter how rare they are, right? Like, as long as you have a meta unique, like Lightning Coil, Cloak of Flame is probably the biggest offender here that people have in their POBs with 6 links. You have to know that you're actually going to have to 6 link that manually, right? Like, if it's going to be on trade, it's going to be for exactly the price that the body armor plus the fuses would cost you on average, or it's even going to be more expensive. So if you put a unique body armor in so that your fizz hit doesn't look as bad anymore, right? Then expect to have a 5 link for a while. This is especially important if you use body armors that you have to socket into and that give you another link. For example, Soul Mantle is completely nonsensical on Leaguestart because you're probably going to get a 5 link, and well, this gives you a 6 link, but then, all right. So you can get a cheap 5 link for this, but otherwise, yeah, you're not going to get a 7 link anytime soon. I will make a note though, some league mechanics do actually spew it out. So if new league mechanic, for example, the Mercs have like 6 link in spades, then you can retract that statement. Maybe they spit out unique 6 links. It has happened before, but this is just in general. Now, my by far favorite way to actually get a 6 link are buying non-best in slot bases. So this is where you can go, for example, to Wiki or POB and just check out what the good base types are. A Conquest Lamellar is a very high level base that you're probably not going to get, so you can kind of forget about it. Marshall's Brigandine probably as well. Full Warmscale, it probably starts somewhere here where people are going to buy on day 1, day 2. So what you can do is, if you know that, you can sacrifice some armor and some evasion and scroll down a little. You would be surprised the difference between these as 6 links, which could be around about like a divine or so, and these on the bottom, which could be up to like 20, 30 chaos. Now, that's easier said than done with some of the armor evasion and armor evasion bases, but if you're energy shield based, most likely you will need a good base. And in that case, I would definitely recommend you to just stick to a 5 link for now. And yeah, grab some of the higher tier bases because you're most likely you're going to rely on that energy shield. This is even more important if you're, for example, a trickster and you take Escape Artist. My second favorite method is getting a corrupted 6 link, and this is where the knowing your colors comes in, because if you need to change your colors later, you're probably not going to do that because you also have to pay Bile Orbs for the rerolls on top of chromes. Now, the way you search here is on PoE Trade. You type in links, minimum 6, and then you do, for example, 3 green, 2 blue, 1 red, and you go down and you search. I typed in corrupted, but you usually don't have to. Those are going to be the cheapest ones. Now, you're going to see a lot of weapons. So if you are not in for that, which I'm going to assume most people are not, then you're going to take the body armor because weapons are stat-wise just, you can't just slap on a shitty weapon if you're melee build, obviously. And here's what you're going to see. This is not going to happen on Leaguestart, obviously, but you kind of catch my drift. So on Leaguestart, you're probably going to see chests between 15 ranging up to like 30, 40 chaos. There's a few downsides to this, mainly that your stats are not going to be very good. Notice in that first example how I will get a uncorrupted chest, which means I can put on essences, I can maybe chaos spam a little bit, right? I will get some kind of stats, and everything matters. Like every sort of res, every sort of attributes will probably be relevant at the start. You might even randomly stumble into spell suppress, but these are going to be absolutely garbage. They're maybe going to end up with like, I don't know, like this here, 16 decks, a little bit of life, lightning risk. Also, if you're going to play a meta build, for example, Volcanic Fissure of Snake King next league, you will have problems doing this. You're not going to have too many problems if you buy a base like that. But yeah, getting exactly a colors, a lot of people are doing this with corrupted 6-links. Another big problem is that you will have random life mods, and most people want to use the life mastery. It is just too goddamn efficient, so you're also going to brick that. And on top of that, let's say later you're going to decide, oh, I actually go for a different gem. You don't have the flexibility to really do that. You will most likely have to buy another corrupted 6-link. And while worse bases will probably keep at least a little bit of value whenever you resell them, corrupted 6-links usually don't. Another lovely way to get your 6-link are Geomancer's Incubators with a little bit of a caveat. So the first caveat is you have to look at the item level. We're late league right now. There's going to be low level ones here, which also means that you're going to get a low level 6-link. So not all Geomancers are made equal. Also, you have to kill some monsters, but that usually shouldn't be a problem. However, it's going to be a random 6-link, so that means it could be evasion, energy shield, armor. So if you're very reliant on either one of those, you probably don't want to do that. And on top of that, it depends on your colors. For example, these colors right here would be very easy to craft. A 3-2-1 split, or maybe even a 2-2-2 is perfect no matter which base you get. You're going to be fine on colors. But if you, for example, had 4 reds, 2 blues, and then you pull like an evasion body armor, or even just evasion armor, and all of a sudden you have to get blues on there, well, it's a little bit more annoying. Then we have Tabula Rasa, which can range between 20 and 40 chaos, depending on when you want to buy it. And I feel like tabbies get a little bit of a bad rep. Yes, they don't have any stats, which is super annoying, right? Like any amount of evasion, armor, stats is going to be super premium. But there is a big use case for Tabby for people who want to experiment. They don't really test out before. They like to go in rogue and just kind of go from there. The freedom of being able to experiment around with your gems is going to be invaluable to you in that case. Otherwise, I would usually say stay away from Tabby, and I would even often recommend just a normal 5-link over it, but that depends on how much you need the damage. All right, then let's go over Divination Cards. This is especially important if you're an SSF, because you can actually farm them from certain layouts, and the wiki will tell you where exactly. I will leave this link down below in the description, but you can hover over it, and we're just going to go through it real quick. 6-link Harbinger Bro, not really all that useful. Astral Play, this one's going to be quite hard to farm. Some of the more interesting ones are, for example, the Emperor of Purity. Do note that a 6-link Holy Chainmail that is only level 60 is not going to have a lot of good stats, as well as that it's not evasion based, so you can't get spell suppress. Humility gives you a tabby, but is not as easy to farm anymore. You used to actually do that in Blood Aqueduct, but now you only get it from Ancient City. Immortal Resolve is a decent way. You get a 6-link body armor with influence, but you're probably not going to get that on Leaguestart. Imperial Legacy is kind of a meme. Rebirth, let's not talk about it. Celestial Justicar, this one is actually farmable from some of these maps, and I've seen people do this before. A ton of people do that on SSF as well. It is an Astral Plate though, which is armor only, so that can be very restrictive on colors, and once again, no spell suppress. Change That Bind, out of all of these, is probably the most used one. It gives you a 6-link body armor. Now, if I can remember correctly though, it is only up to a certain item level. Am I remembering correctly? I'm pretty sure this one can only roll to like level 80 or 81. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah. Either way, it gives you a 6-link body armor. It looks like you need a lot of cards, but these are quite easy to farm. Dark Mage, you're probably not going to use. Dapper Prodigy is also often used. It is a item level 100. You can only farm it in Residence. Also often used by SSF players. Ethereal, very strong if you're energy shield based. However, a little bit outdated because there are new base types that are actually better than Regalia, but it is a good stepping stone. Porcupine is not really being used that often, maybe on toxic rain builds. Sacrifice, so the rest are all kinda trash. So yeah, kind of go through these and see if something fits for your build. Then we have Grand Heist rewards, which I don't really have too much experience with, but I've heard a lot of people who actually do get their 6-link from there. So at the end, you can choose a reward, and that's often going to give you the chance to get a 6-link. You can also send boats with Crimson Ore or Crimson Bars to certain cities, but I don't want to 100% say that that's going to happen again. Settlers is still in the game. However, they could change stuff. They do this all the time where they integrate something into the base game. I also don't know how great this is for 6 links. I personally got my 5 link in Settlers from one of those shipments though. On the topic of 5 links, another good way to get that is actually on the black market. You can even exactly see what base type you're gonna get. So for example, let's say I need armor, energy shield, you can gamba here, and I didn't get a 5 link, but you have a decent-ish chance. And even if you don't, sometimes you get a well-rolled body armor. They are all well-rolled, which just means they have, on average, better mods. But yeah, it is a good way to spend a little bit of extra gold. And last but not least, we have the Tainted Orb of Fusing, which gives you an unpredictable outcome of adding or removing a link. If this hasn't changed, this patch, it's still a 50-50. So if you have a 5 link, you have a 50% chance to get a 4 link or a 6 link. So let's do it right here. I got lucky. Usually it's like, yeah, pretty hard to do. You first need to get it to a 5 link. You can also go to a 4 link and then try again. In general, once again, we go back to unique body armors. I would not recommend planning out your League starter right away with a unique body armor. But if you have to, then maybe look into getting a corrupted one, even with a relevant corrupted mod, and then try your luck with Tainted Orb of Fusings. These are, however, just like normal Orb of Fusings, aptly priced, so they're not going to be cheap. Everybody knows about them, so keep that in mind. So if there's anything I want you to take from this video is that you should know your colors so that you can figure out what the best way to acquire your first 6 link is. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to make you more powerful, deal more damage so you can farm higher tier content, and lets you start to snowball. And after you know your colors, you can exactly plan out how you get there, right? Like, is it Divination Cards? Is it maybe Geomancers or whatever? And also keep in mind that uniques have certain restrictions to them where you're probably going to have to pay the real price, which is usually between 3 and 5 divines. With that said, that's about all I got for today. There's obviously other ways to get 6 links, but I just wanted to focus on the most efficient ones in this video. If I forgot about anything, put it down in the comments. But yeah, since I still don't have a slogan, see you next time.